What's up, everybody? This is the Daily Fantasy Show brought to you by DFO. It is the 1st of November. It is a Wednesday, and we have a 5 game slate. AD is still off. Well, he's not off, he's doing his article. Um, his school's on strike, so he's been working, so yay, work. So let's hop right to it. Um, We got the first game tonight. We have the Philadelphia Flyers traveling to Chicago to face the Blackhawks. Flyers are coming off an OT loss, which they should have lost in regulation to the Coyotes, their first one of the season. Um, they looked terrible for the first 50 minutes. They came alive in the third, and then they lost in overtime. Um, for me, um, I guess maybe it's an industry thing, or the general consensus is that the Blackhawks are a good team, but I don't believe that. I'm going back to the well with Philadelphia won tonight. I think they're one of my favorite plays tonight. The Blackhawks aren't good defensively. Their depth is a lot worse than they were last year. Their bottom six isn't very good. The Kane line is just awful defensively, and I think that's who Philadelphia one's going to get. If that's the case, I think they're going to crush tonight. Couturier, Giroux, and Provorov, they're expensive. They are the most expensive line to stack tonight. Because of that, that coupled with the fact that people think the Blackhawks are good, I think they're going to go overlooked tonight. I think you can get them at fairly low ownership. I believe Ghost is out, so Provorov, who was the play on Tuesday, you got to put him in if you're using Flyers one. He is 5,200, so you are going to have to use a pretty cheap secondary line if you want to use Philadelphia one. But again, I think they're my favorite play tonight. At least from an ownership perspective, I think Edmonton is the top play on the board, but I think Philadelphia one goes overlooked from an ownership standpoint, and then they can go off. I really like that play there. Again, Philadelphia 2, not my favorite. You want to use Fiplo and Simmons, okay. I'm much higher on Philadelphia 1 tonight than I'm on Philadelphia 2. Brian Elliott is in net. He's super cheap at 7,100. I think he's a viable GPP option, especially if you're going to use Philadelphia, because they're the most expensive line to stack. Gives you a little bit more flexibility. I think, at his price, I think if he wins, even if he gives up 2 or 3 goals, I think he will pay off at his price. Blackhawks do get a decent amount of shots on net. On the flip side, I do like if you're not going to use Brian Elliott, I like the Kane line. He is with, I believe, Schmaltz, Kane, and I think the other spot is still undecided. I think the last game it might have been Sod. It depends what the lines are. I haven't seen any final confirmation, but that is my preferred play from Chicago if you are going Chicago. Not too high on Chicago one. I'm not a huge fan of Tays. I think he's a better hockey player than he is a DFS player or DFS hockey player. I still think he's overrated, but again, from the DFS perspective, my preferred play, if not using Brian Elliott, would definitely be Chicago 2. If you think the Flyers suck and you think the Blackhawks are good, Crawford is in play at 7,500. I'm not going there just because I'm very high in the Flyers tonight, but I understand if you want to go Corey Crawford 7,500, just because he's generally priced above 8,000. I think you at a lower salary. I think he's in play on GPPs. I'd avoid both these goalies in cash. I think there are a couple better options on the slate. Um, but again, preferred goalie in this game would be Elliott, especially if you're using Flyers. He's very cheap. He has upside. I think the Flyers can win this game, and he will pay off at his price. Excuse me. Let's move on to the second game of the night. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins traveling to Edmonton to face the Oilers. This game is going to be heavily targeted. I think from a cash game perspective, there are tons of people in play in this game. Obviously, Connor McDavid, the Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, Maroon, Clefbaum, Darnell Nurse, even the second, like people on the second line for Edmonton are playing cash. On the Pittsburgh side, Crosby's in play, Malkin's in play, Kessel's in play. Even though he's on the third line, he does get top power play time. Hornquist. In cash, I prefer to go Edmonton just because they're home. They can match up the lines that they want. Pittsburgh depth is bad. Their defense is bad. Top play across the board in the industry. Cash GPP is Brent says Rodney Hood and cash. It gives me gastric distress. I'll fight you later on that. I'll tell the Rodney Hood story at some point. It still scars me. Now I lost my train of thought, Brent. Thank you. Where was I? Oh, right. Top play across the industry for me would be Edmonton 1. You can make a case. See you later, Brent. You can make a case to use the whole top line in cash. I don't know if I would do that. I'd probably go, Clefbaum, McDavid, Draisaitl, if you can afford it. I don't mind Darnell Nurse. GPPs, I think Edmonton is the top. Edmonton 1 with Clefbaum is going to be the top play. For me, they're going to be heavy chalk. It is a 5-game slate. Can you afford to fade him? I don't know. I want some exposure to this top line. I'm going to be putting in multiple lineups tonight. I just want to try out MMA for a couple days, see how that goes. So, for me, if I think McDavid's going to be 30%, I'm probably going to be above the field or below the field. I don't want to be at the field. I want to take a stand. I either want to be heavy or light. I don't want to be at the field because then you're competing with those 30%, and you have to be perfect to win. So I want to be above the field or below. If I'm above the field, you have more chances of the combinations to hit. If you're below, you hope that they don't go off. But if you're even at the field, you legit have to be perfect to beat everyone else because you have the same amount of lineups. So yeah, Edmonton 1 definitely in play. Edmonton 2 also in play. Nugent Hopkins, Strome, and Lucic. I know Edmonton mixed up their power plays in practice. I don't know if they're going to go with that during the game, but make sure you check out DFO for that. It is they split up McDavid and Draisaitl, so I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen in a game. So just keep a lookout for that. On the Pittsburgh side, my preferred play is probably the Crosby line tonight. They're probably going to get the McDavid line, so that's just going to, because Nugent Hopkins is more of the shutdown line. They're probably going to go up against the Malkin line, but make sure you check out Adam's line matching article for that. He's more in tune with that than I am at the moment, so make sure to check out that. The Crosby line's the preferred play for me in GPPs. If you can fit Letang, I think that's a good option. He is a little pricey at 6,100. Olimata is not too bad at 4,100. Goalies in this game, it's probably going to be Cam Talbot at 7,700, Matt Murray at 7,400. Matt Murray's a little interesting play to me. He has been fairly good. I mean, he got lit up last game. He's always an interesting GPP option because he's a good goalie. The problem is, Pittsburgh is terrible defensively. The thing is, in GPPs, Edmonton's going to be very high owned, so Matt Murray could be a nice leverage play if you're taking a stand and fading Edmonton. I wouldn't recommend going heavy on him, but I think you can have a little bit of exposure. If you're using Edmonton, I think Talbot is a decent play. He's not my favorite play, but I think you can use him in a GPP. I'm not sure about cash. You could make a case. You could make a case for that, but I'd stick to him in GPP only. So now we have the 3:10 o'clock games. So this is going to be a late night tonight, everybody. So we have the New Jersey Devils traveling to Vancouver to face the Canucks. My mic is rubbing on my pop collar. Let's fix the mic here. Better? Yes? No? Maybe so? Can everybody hear me? Maybe. Yes. Okay. There we go. For your entertainment, I will lower my collar. Lower. You can see my chest tattoo. I love everybody. So the Devils are playing the Canucks. It appears Brock Bozier is back. He's probably going to slot in with Horvat and Barchi. I would wait and see confirmation with that, but that is a nice line to use from a salary perspective. It lets you fit in the Philadelphias, the Edmontons, the Torontos, the San Jose's. If that is the case, I do like that line tonight. I mean, I like that line anyway with Horvat and Barchi. I think it does get a bump with Brozier back. They're very cheap. They're, I think, a little under 13,000. Let you do a whole bunch of stuff. I know Corey Schneider's back. It is a homecoming for Schneider. He was in Vancouver for a while. I don't know if you can still call that a narrative street since it's been a bunch of years. I see my mic. There we go. But yeah, that would definitely be my preferred line. It's insane. The Sedins are combined like 6,900. Nice. And Henrik Sedin has like 3 assists all season. I think he's had like something ridiculous, like 10 shots on goal. They've been so bad. So my preferred play easily would be Horvat, Barchi, Bozier, Michael Del Zotto, definitely the preferred play on the blue line. He's getting a little pricey for Michael Del Zotto, but 4,200. If you can't fit him, Ben Hutton at 3,200, it's not a bad play. Tanev, if you want to get saucy, at 3,300. Even Pouliot at 3,000. I don't know if I'd go there, but if you need it, you can do that as well. On the New Jersey side, I don't have an extreme amount of interest in New Jersey tonight because I like Markstrom in net. I don't know if I'm a Markstrom homer. I might be. But the only real interest I have in New Jersey tonight would be Hall and Heischer. I mean, Hall is in play on any slate. He's getting up there now again at 6,500. He was down below 6,000 for a little bit. But any slate that Taylor Hall's on, he's a very good single bullet option. I also like Jesper Bratt at 4,400 as a single bullet. He sees power play one time. He's on the ice with Johansson and Henrique. But again, if I'm going to use New Jersey, I think it's going to be Hall and Heischer, or Bratt as a one-off. If you want to chase Butcher points at 4,300, go ahead. I think he's, the league's catching up to him a little bit. I like John Moore at 2,900. He sees a ton of ice time, frees up some salary. Severson at 3,400. He's starting to play better. I think you can go there. In net, if you're not using Vancouver, I like Schneider at 7,900. I think he's a good option. After all, it is the Canucks. Their depth is pretty bad. When what's his name? Derek Dorsett is up there in the team leading goals. You can use the goalie against Vancouver. So if you're not using the Horvat line, I think Schneider is definitely in play in any format. I like Jacob Markstrom at 7,400. He's definitely in play for me. In GPPs, I don't know if you can use him in cash. I might. I think that just makes me a Markstrom homer. I think it's official. I am a Jacob Markstrom homer. The first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem, and I have a Jacob Markstrom problem. I think this is a good night for him, though. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Toronto Maple Leafs traveling to Anaheim to face the Ducks. It's going to be Johnny Gibson against Freddie Anderson. Let's talk about the Ducks first. I like both top lines for the Ducks. And if from watching the show, if you've ever watched the show more than once on a Duck slate, I don't like the Ducks. I don't like using the Ducks, but tonight I like the Ducks. Freddie Anderson hasn't been very good. The Maple Leafs play an up and down, high pace style. Their blue line is weak sauce. Definitely like the top line of Getzlaf, Raquel, Perry. You can definitely make a case for the second line if you want to save a little. Getzlaf is hurt, so excuse me. I jumped the gun there. I think it's going to be Raquel, Perry, and now I don't know. Either way, I like the Ducks, even without Getzlaf tonight. Rax and Cogliano, yeah, thank you. Oh, Rax, Cogliano, Silverberg. Thanks for looking out. Perry. Also, if you didn't see his Halloween tweets, he's the man at that. Check him out. Hit the high draw. Sorry, I got disconnected. Payroll company was calling me. Good times. Both the top two lines, make sure you just check out DFO for what they are. They, could get mixed up. Rennie Carlisle likes to do weird stuff when Getzlaf is out. But Montour is a strong play at 4,600. Vatanen's back. You can use him. I think he's going to see a little bit more time now. He's 4,000. Manson, if you want to block some shots and save some salary, 3,300. I don't have too much interest in John Gibson just because I like the Maple Leafs. They can explode offensively. You want to use him in GPP. If you're using Ducks, okay. Cash out, avoid him. So let's get to the Maple Leafs. They mixed up their lines, but they kept the Matthews line intact, and I think they're an elite play tonight. I think they're right up there with Edmonton and the Flyers. They're a little bit cheaper than Edmonton. They're a little bit more expensive than Pittsburgh. They're also cheaper than the Flyers. Matthews, Nylander, Hyman. They might even come in at a little lower ownership just because people will be all over Edmonton and they're about the same price. They're very hard to double stack together. I'm not a huge fan of their depth lines now that they mixed them up. I think it's Toronto 1 or bust for me tonight. I'm On the blue line, if you can fit Riley at 5,100, I think that is the preferred option. Gardner is losing some steam. He's under 4,000 now. Oh, defenseman I didn't mention for the Ducks. If you don't want to use Vatanen and you need the couple $100 savings, I think Hampus Lindholm is a solid play at 3,800. Back to the Leafs. If you want to use Zaitsev at 3,700, okay. I think people are realizing he isn't very good. You want to donk Borgman at 2,800. You want to go Buddha style. I'm cool with going Buddha style. Freddie Anderson in net, not a huge fan, but again, with the Ducks lines being jumbled, I do like the Ducks, but again, at the same time, I always hate the Ducks. I think you can definitely make a case for Freddie and GPPs. It is now November. If you look at his numbers from last October, they're awful. He was pretty bad this October, and then after that, he kind of locked it up. That's kind of like a BVP play, but I think in a GPP, you definitely can make a case for Freddie. Just off shot volume and price, I think he's a decent GPP option. So let's move to the last game of the night. We have the Nashville Predators traveling to San Jose to face the Sharks. The Sharks are coming off arguably their best win of the season against the Maple Leafs. Nashville's been good. I think, I don't know how much ownership's going to be on this game, but I do like both San Jose's lines tonight. They're cheap. They let you do some stuff. For me, I made a lineup. I power play stacked the Sharks. I think that's in play. I just don't like using Joe Thornton. His floor is low, his ceiling's low. He is cheap, so if you want to use him, go ahead. He's like 4,500. I prefer to use Couture. Heed is 3,900. He's coming off a great game. You can fit in if you get creative. Couture, Hurdle, Pavelski, Burns, and Heed. I think you can do something like that. But again, I also if you don't want a power play stack, I think you can easily use the top line. I think LeBanc is still up there with Thornton and Pavelski. The second line which I prefer, is Couture, Hurdle, and Carlson. If you can fit Burns, I think you go for it. If not, I think Heed's a great option at 3,900. He's power play one time. He's got a tremendous shot from the blue line. From the Nashville side, I'm not too hot. I prefer to use Nashville at home. I do like the top line of Nashville. Johansson, Forsberg. Did he get hurt? No. Forsberg and Fiala. If that line is still intact, I like it. Fiala is 3,800, provides good salary relief for that line. Let you get Yossi in on the blue line or Subban. I think that's the way to go. If you want to use Arvidsson as a one-off, I like that as well because he has a chance to move up to the first line if they struggle. Again, Yossi is the preferred play. PK Subban is $600 cheaper. You can do that as well. Oh, Ekholm was the one who got hurt in practice. So I think that gives a bump to Gerard. I think you can punt him at 3,300. His ice time should go up. I do, from goalie perspective, it's weird because I don't like Martin Jones. I also don't like paying up for goalie, but I think Martin Jones is in play at 8,100. I like to use the goalie against the Predators on the road just because the Predators generally do see some ownership, and they're a much better team at home. I think Martin Jones is a solid play in a GPP at 8,100. I also like Pekka Rinne at 7,800. He's been playing great this season. I think people notoriously, especially on shorter slates, use the Sharks. If you're not using the Sharks, I think Rinne isn't playing a GPP. Not my favorite option, but you can probably get him at low ownership. So that wraps up the 5 game slate. AD's line matching article has gone premium. So if you can get the premium package for as low as $9.99 a week. What you get with that is the line matching article. You get projections from Emmanuel Perry. You get an optimizer, one for cash, one for GPP. You get premium chat with myself from 5:45 to 6:45 every night. Also, since 80's article is going premium, on bigger slates, I'm going to have some shorter articles, either going over cash game plays. These are going to be free articles, going over cash game plays, GPP plays. We'll hit on goalies. We'll hit on some strategies. So if you want something specific written from me, you can mention me on Twitter. Let me know what it is. My Twitter handle is JRH002. 002, JRH002 DFS. You can find me there. Hit me up there. So I'll see you in chat tonight. Hopefully we'll be talking about winning some money. And we'll see you tomorrow for a big Thursday slate. There will be a nice whole bunch of content out. So we'll see you then. Later, guys.